too. Back in St. Louis.
Right?
Dude, I always think like the long game, right, would be if you're going to slash someone's tire, like most likely at whatever point you've had that fit of rage, it could be traced back to you. You know, that's pretty standard. You didn't wait 3 months to make that attack. So the move is if you're going to slash someone's tire, you slash their spare. It's playing the long game so that when they need it, they're really fucked.
That's a good play. And
Yeah.
they would never notice.
Never know.
Unless it was like a Jeep and it was on the back of your car.
No, and then you would just go like, oh shit, it's flat because I never use it.
Right.
And then you try to air it up and it's still fucking just shitty. You get them again.
That's mean.
It's mean.
That's mean.
It's mean. Oh, man.
I like it.
We salted a guy's yard one time in high school. I think a statute of limitations is done on that, so I'm probably all right.
Yeah, I think you're good.
A guy I worked with at the golf course, and we took a bunch of, like, lawn fertilizing equipment from the golf course, like those push things that throw,
Yeah.
and just filled them with salt.
Just ruthless.
Charles was a prick. He deserved it.
I was actually saying this the other day. We did a lot of lawn jobs, and they were always in our own neighborhood. You know, always as kids.
Lawn jobs.
That's where you just, yeah. Right?
Got lawn work to do tonight. We'll be out of it.
It was so terrible. This was in high school, and I literally, me and my buddy were driving, and we just drove into someone's yard, just being straight up turds.
Yep.
And I popped my tire on the curb. That's what you get.
That's what you get,
That's
dude.
what you get.
Karma.
I literally had to pull around to the very next neighborhood and change my tire.
Karma will get you.
It'll get you every time.
Oh,
Man.
man.
That's what you get when you're a punk.
Yep. It happens.
And
It happens, dude. It's like slipping downstairs trying to run away with something, or watch like a criminal steal something and break his ankle running out of the store on the way out. Like,
that's what you get.
oh man.
Oh man, that's awesome.
So you back in town for just a bit, or?
Yeah. So it's kind of a long story, but yeah, I am back in town for a while. Gonna go back and forth between San Diego and St. Louis a lot over the next year.
Okay.
So I'll be in St. Louis a ton for a good amount of time, and then trying to move out of California.
Makes sense. It's an interesting time there currently.
It's the goal is to get out of California, and so yeah, right now doing a little back and forth thing.
So, well, you're San Diego. So what? I know LA is a disaster.
Yeah.
How weird has San Diego got? Because you guys have more of a military town anyway.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely more of a conservative city in San Diego or in California, but it's still California.
Still California.
You still got 13.5% state income tax.
Brutal.
Kids can't go back to school. They're trying to. What are they? It's just the fires right now are pretty bad, and so the air quality is pretty rough. It's just it's a tough place to live. Not in the sense, obviously, of weather. The weather is normally really nice.
Typically.
Yeah, typically really nice. And there's just a lot of people in California.
Well,
and I'm just I'm getting to that stage in my life where I like to be around people, but people that I like.
Yes.
And so, and when you're in just a city like San Diego or anywhere in California, really, I mean, there's just so many people everywhere.
Everywhere.
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm kind of over it, and so I'm ready to get somewhere else.
At least it's really expensive.
Exactly.
And so, like, when you start taking away the stuff of, like, oh, California's rad because I can go to the beach and I can surf or I can do all these outdoor things, and now I can't do outdoor things, and people aren't being cool, like, nah, man.
Yeah.
Dude, and then that, like, weird luxury tax that they're trying to implement on on your net worth.
Dude.
That follows you for 10 years.
They're trying to tax you to leave. They're trying. If you leave,
That's exactly what they're doing.
I don't even think it's legal.
No,
right?
it
There's
can't
no
be, okay.
way that can be legal that they can tax you for 10 years post living the state. That's insane.
Well, when has that ever stopped?
That's true.
Stopped
Right.
Uncle Sam from getting his hands in your pocket.
That's true, man. That's true.
Oh God, we live in a strange time.
The world is on fire, and it's not slowing down. Like, I feel like it's just getting crazier. And I know it's an election year, and election years are always crazy.
It's true. I did at least get to hear my current president say, Well, I brought back football to Ohio, and everyone there is very happy about it. Fuck.
I did that. I got the Big Ten football back. When he said that, I was dying laughing. Like, that's the most important thing in the world right now.
It's so bad.
Oh, man. Those two, holy cow.
That's the best options that we're allowed to be given.
There's no way. It's impossible.
Dude, what I really wish, and again, I don't care now who would be driving the boat, but I wish Dan Crenshaw and Tulsi Gabbard would run together. Give me a right and left on the same ticket from two people that are reasonable.
Yeah. So Dan was a good buddy of mine.
Seems like a nice fucking. I love the
Dan
things he's got to say.
He was in all of my platoons. He was in the Buds class right ahead of me, but when he was at SEAL Team 3, he was in my troop for 6 years.
Small world.
Yeah. Dan's a good dude. I love Dan.
Any contact still, or?
Not really. No.
Okay.
I mean, once you get out, everyone goes their separate ways, and you just lose contact. But yeah, I mean,
I tell you what, like, I know that you're starting a podcast, and so that ain't the hardest reach out.
yeah, exactly. It'd be great.
You've got a big enough following that even if he doesn't recognize the name immediately, he'll click on it.
Right.
And then be like, oh shit.
Yeah. No, I still have his number in my phone.
Oh, right on.
I mean, he might have changed his number.
Who
I have
knows?
no idea. Yeah. But no, yeah, great dude, and it'd be great to catch up with him.
Yeah. He's operating in a way different world in America than I am.
Like that, actually, when he got blown up, so he got blown up in IED in Afghanistan, the same trip that I hurt my knee.
Okay.
Fucking around wrestling. Like, obviously, he's doing real cool shit, and I've, blown my knee out.
This is how it happens. I tore my first ACL in college not doing track, warming up for track, playing basketball.
But yeah, damn, I mean, I remember seeing him, and man, he was, he was just kind of healing up, and I remember seeing him on a plane. We were going to a funeral of another buddy who ended up getting killed over in Afghanistan, and he had forgotten his painkiller medicine.
Oof.
And I remember just seeing him, and he was just in rough shape. And I'm like, Danny, you okay, brother? And he's like, oh, I forgot my pain meds, and he was like having withdrawals.
Yo.
And I was like, oh, and it was just a crazy story. But and then I remember seeing him a couple months later, because that's when you're not in the same troop, when you're not in small, like in a troop together, like you just don't. You run into guys every month or so.
Look, I think that's pretty natural, right? Especially if you're busy. A lot of stuff ends up being that, like, out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
Because I'm occupied.
Yeah.
I can only handle so many things at a time, and it's tough to keep up with. Holy shit! I haven't spoke to him in 2 weeks.
Right. And so I see him a couple months later, and he's starting to come around or whatever, and then. A couple months go past again, and I was like, hey, I saw him in the gym. He was working out, which was really cool to see.
Yeah.
Guy just got blown up not that long ago, and he's missing an eye. He's got this cool trident eye, actually.
What?
So it was actually like a glass eye that had a trident on it. So now he wears the patch, which is cooler.
Yeah,
Pirate,
it is cool.
But the trident eye was I thought it was really cool too. But dude, the guy was trying to get back overseas. Like that's
go back to work.
Yeah, like that's the kind of guy he is, and so. I have nothing but respect for Dan. I think he's doing a phenomenal job, and his political career will be great. I would not be shocked at all if he runs for president in the next 8 years.
Yeah, if the current powers that be find him to be pliable enough,
right? Exactly.
That's such a shame. It's a shame that I feel that way about it.
It's our system.
It's bad.
It's our system, right? And how do we fix it? I don't know.
That's true. I don't know either.
I don't even really love to talk about it because it's so far outside of my knowledge or grasp because I'm not the kind of guy who likes to just sit and complain about things if I don't have solutions.
Right.
So it's tough, I don't know how to fix that.
Yep. Look, man, I say that all the time. I was like, look, I appreciate that I've been given a platform.
Right.
But I stick to my route.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, stay in my lane-ish.
While I don't agree with the current political candidates, no one's asking me to step in at that
How
job.
should we fix this? I've seen you throw a hammer. How do we fix this?
You're pretty good throwing rocks in a field. Maybe making some shirts. Would you like to take a turn at running the country? No, thank you.
I love your brand. Hate brand. How do we fix our political platform?
Oh, God.
You like to pay the man. How do we fix this political aspect? Oh yeah, you're right. Let me tell you my ideas.
Oh man, yeah. Plus, not to mention the weirdness of a pandemic, and it's been a year.
It has been a year,
dude. It still feels to me because the Arnold didn't happen, and then like the big things that I use is like, oh, that happens at this time of the year, and that happens like they didn't go down.
Yeah.
It still just feels like March. Kind of like we went over to Bonnie's sister's house yesterday, and for her nephew's birthday party, little 4, and like pulled up and like the pool's open, and I'm like, oh man, it's time to cover the pool already. Like it's fall,
right?
And I'm like, they must have only had it open for 2 weeks. Like, but no, of course they've had it open since it's been open 6 months.
We were actually like locked down for like 3 of those months.
Just have no concept of what.
It's been a year. It's been such an interesting year, and exactly like you don't like it feels like the summer that never was.
Yeah.
You know, like there really wasn't a summer. It was there was no for me, baseball's a big thing. My kids play baseball. And
so, right on, yeah.
You know, they didn't get their baseball, right? They got to practice a lot, but they didn't get a tournament until probably 3 weeks ago. And so we were still in California at the time. We actually could not play Little League sports in California. We had to travel to Arizona to get a tournament in. It wasn't terrible. It was a 5-hour travel. It wasn't rough, you know. But it was just crazy to me that like we couldn't play sports in our own city.
Dude.
You know, like it's nuts. And so it's been such a crazy year.
Yep.
For me, other than the kids' sports, like my life didn't change drastically in any way.
Same.
You know?
I'm very fortunate. Look, we don't have real jobs.
Right.
You know, and I mean, other side of that is business is great.
Yeah.
Because people are buying shit from home, so this is very good.
It's not a bad thing.
I am not trying to complain in any way, shape, or form.
No.
I understand people are in a rough spot, and
yeah,
we've been doing with the company like stuff like that, just looking at different ways to market, and so we've been doing like try to do fun giveaways,
right,
to hook people up, and so like we just gave away a gravel bike from Niner.
Oh, that's cool.
So it was like $2,200 brand new bike.
And dude, bikes were like you couldn't find them.
You can't find them in.
You couldn't find them there.
Fucking, it's the best year ever for bike business.
Dude, yeah. It's so crazy how this pandemic has really shaped so many different things. Like look at Rogue Fitness.
Yeah.
I mean, they can't keep
up.
They had the moment I remember seeing the email or Instagram post where they're like, we're shutting the site down for 2 hours to stop taking orders so we can start filling them. I was like, oh man, like
that's a whole different level of stress,
right? Oh, that's crazy.
I mean, good problems,
great problems,
but still problems.
It is, yeah, it is.
You know, and then the idea of like, so what? We need to hire 50% more people to keep up right now, and then what? Let them go and
right. And you know, if this goes back, like when this goes back at some point, hopefully.
I just don't know, man. I don't know what we're gonna see. I think we're gonna see a shift that doesn't shift all the way back.
I agree. I definitely think some things are going to be adjusted for forever. I think that people are, you know, it'll be interesting to see how gyms come back from this.
CrossFit gyms will be okay because they're community based.
Right.
Powerlifting gyms will be okay because they're community based.
Right.
But Golds?
Yeah.
You're in trouble.
LA Fitnesses?
You're in trouble.
Yeah.
Those people already bought home stuff.
Right. Exactly. That's why Rogue can't keep stuff on the site, man. Yeah, and people are gonna from now on, they're gonna see this pandemic as something where they don't want to get caught like that again with their pants down.
Why would you?
Right now, I gotta have home stuff.
Yep.
You know, and so now you have this home stuff. So
may as well train at home.
May as well work out at home, especially if you go to LA Fitness or Gold's, where you go in there with your headphones on to get your workout in.
Yeah, I'm very glad that I've spent a very minimal amount of time in my lifting career in those facilities. I just don't get it.
I never, you know what? I did Gold's. That's actually where I started doing CrossFit, was in a Gold's gym. And it was actually downtown.
Come on.
Yeah, down here in downtown St. Louis. And I got a set of bumper plates, a barbell, a wall ball, and some rings. And I would go into the back. There was like this back room. I think it was an old aerobics room or something.
Yeah.
You know? And I would go back there, and I would take my stuff back there, and then anytime I needed to use something outside, it would just come out and hit it, and then I'd go back into the other room. But yeah, I actually started doing CrossFit in a Gold's gym.
So,
because there was no CrossFit gyms.
Of course.
Yeah, that was in 2005.
Yeah, so it's a similar thing, but like whenever I got into Highland Games and got into like a strongman, Like, there wasn't anyone selling equipment.
Right.
So, like, I went and made a yoke and welded and drill pressed a bunch of shit and was making sleds and pouring my own Atlas stones and doing all this because you can't buy it. And so CrossFit was the same way. Like, the early adopters, were just figuring out how to get shit done. Like, especially, like, talking with, like, Kelly Starrett.
Oh, yeah. He's been around forever.
Well, their gym was in the first 50.
Oh, okay.
Right? So, and their gym, Parking Lot of Dreams at San Francisco CrossFit, like, he was working at I think it was a rafting or kayaking place, or was a PT clinic. It's one of those two. And he picked up a shipping container, put it in the back, and they filled it with equipment. And then they put an awning up. And for years, in the original, like, Mobility WOD videos on YouTube are from them in this parking lot.
Right.
If it rains, there's 2 fucking inches of water, like, where the squat racks are. And people just showed up and dealt with it. Dude, they had 200 members.
Wow.
Coming to the parking lot to lift that way and, like, killing it.
That's crushing it. No overhead in California.
Right.
Oh. And, I mean, I don't know how much they were charging back then. But, yeah, they were crushing it.
Crushing it. I mean, clearly they found something that people want.
Exactly. That's the thing about CrossFit, right? Is people see the results so quickly, and that's why people like it. It's the intensity, because it's never been pushed like that before.
No.
You know? And
it's also great for previous athletes.
Yeah. It's a good transition.
It's
That's what I did.
good outlet.
That was me. You know, I was done wrestling, and I was like, I was doing a little bit of bodybuilding. That was the only working out I did, because I didn't.
It's boring.
It's super boring. I hated it, every minute of it. But I was like, I can't, get out of shape, and then I found CrossFit, and I was like, dude, this is awesome. Like, I can almost be. It was before a sport, but I knew that it was competitive just by the nature of it.
Right.
Right, with your buddy,
or at least against yourself.
Yeah.
More so than bodybuilding.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and now that they implement the strongman stuff and all that, that's awesome. When did you get into Highland Games and all that?
So, I got into my very first Highland game I did was in, like, November of 2008.
Okay.
And then 2009, I think I did 6 or 7 games around. And then 2010 was my first complete year that I competed as an amateur. Won an amateur world championship, and then 2011 did a full season, won an amateur world championship. That the way it was sold to me was that I was in Spokane, Washington, and it was like, oh, so the winner from this gets an automatic invite to the 2012 professional world championships.
Okay.
So I was like, shit, yeah, this is the easiest way to get in. I just got to win this thing.
Yeah.
And so, like, I finished that contest, and they're like, oh, how you feel about Worlds? I was like, I'm excited to get home and, like, prepare and train for it. And they're like, well, it's in 2 weeks. I'm like, come again? I was like, oh, you mean I'm going to professional Worlds in 2 weeks, not in a year? Right. Sick. This is not anything that's ever been mentioned prior. I didn't make a mistake. They just fucking changed it.
Oh, wow.
And I ended up going and taking second, and like, just showed up with the idea of, like, I'm not supposed to fucking be here.
Right.
Let them have it. Just fucking let them have it.
That's the best year. I took second my first year at the games with the exact same thing. Like, I went in there and I was like, I mean, I went in to win. I knew I wanted to win because obviously I was just competitive. The same as you, right? Like, I'm not coming here to participate. No. That's for fucking sure. But I didn't have, like, no one knew who I was.
Right.
There was no expectations. So I didn't have, the only stress I had was the stress I put on myself.
And what year is this?
This was 11.
Okay, so is this still, like, at the ranch?
No. This was the second year at the Home Depot Center or Carson or whatever.
Got it.
But it was the first year Reebok was involved.
Oh, right on.
So, yeah, it was the first year the prize was, $250,000 to the winner. And $50,000 to the second place guy,
which is still a way better paycheck than I've gotten a single paycheck in my life, which is still sick.
Right. It was good. Yeah, I was in the military, so I wasn't hurting. For me, it was literally just extra money.
Yeah.
And for fun, it was things that I was already doing. Right. I was using CrossFit to stay in shape because I enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed working out, and so now I was like, wow, I can. There's a sport, really? Like, I get to go compete doing this shit?
Pretty cool getting that real check after the taxes come out, though.
Yeah, that's great.
Like, oh. So that's what 50 grand looks like.
Especially because when you're in the military, you don't pay as much in taxes.
Right.
It's so nice. Because you don't pay taxes on all of your because your base pay is super small, right? Like you can look up how much people make in the military. So I was an what year is this? 11. I was an E5. 4 years of service. You can literally look up. There's a chart.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
It
looks up. So like your base pay is like $2,400 a month.
Okay.
But then you get, stationed in San Diego, you get $2,800 for housing. That's not taxed.
Right.
You get your extra pays, demo pay, jump pay.
All your other skills.
All the other skills that you have that for being a SEAL, and so none of those are taxed. And so,
Oh, sick.
So most of your money, like 70% of your money, is not taxed. So
Yeah, I'm pretty good with that since you guys at some point for work will get shot at. And I haven't had to deal with that as a stress at any of the places I've worked. So I'm good with that exchange.
You live downtown St. Louis. Don't
count myself too lucky yet.
You're not there yet. But that was so. Yeah, but yeah, exactly. When you went to do your taxes at the end, they're like, "Oh, this isn't military money. All of this is going to be taxed." You're like, "Oof, okay, that's cool."
Yeah, like I had a friend of mine who had done a thing, and like I think the prize money was $100,000 or something like that, and had won. And they said I was like, yeah, the check that came in was for $54,000. I'm like, poof. And it's like, I'm glad Uncle Sam earned that other piece. You know, They really showed up during those days for me.
They hooked me up. Without him, I don't think I would have been there anyways.
Right, and it's so easy too. I think for your, and look, I'm not trying to defend the ultra wealthy by any stretch, but like, look at what friends of mine I know that run bigger businesses. Talk to them about taxes, and it's just like, well, I pay $200,000 a month in personal income tax, and then at the end of the year, I got hit for $700,000. I'm like, tell me I'm not doing my share. And
right.
I'm like, fuck, man. Like, that's a lot to swallow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Taxes are a necessary evil.
They are.
But, man, when you look at percentages-wise, sometimes it's an interesting thing. And, again, I don't have a solution.
I don't either. The only thing that I think of is I like a use tax. Mm-hmm. So, stay out of my income tax. Property tax I get, other than I don't like the fact that I can own my house and then somehow not pay the property tax and you get my house. So it's like I'm always paying rent to live in America. So, okay. But I like the idea of a use tax, right? Because I believe people with more money are going to buy more expensive things. Mm-hmm. And so let's put 15% as a tax rate on purchases.
Okay.
And that way, if I'm going to spend $100,000 on a vehicle, I have to pay more than, say, if you're going to spend whatever on a car.
Right.
And so I think that would leverage things a little bit better. And then we have to get rid of all of the fucking tax cut. Like don't allow me to write everything off. Because if you're going to give me a way to beat your system, and I can afford to pay someone to help me beat your system,
right?
That's what you do. You pay someone that you think paying them will still make me pay less.
And to be honest, it's typically not that much money.
No. CPAs aren't expensive.
CPAs are like $400 to do your taxes. It's not that crazy.
And good ones do great jobs.
And good ones do great jobs. Yes. Yep. It's an interesting system. Again, I don't have the answers, but
no, I don't either.
Man, when you hear about what tax money gets spent on in California, sometimes it can really start to boil your blood.
Yeah, I've said that for a long time. Like, look, I'm trying to hold on. I will try to not pay as much tax as I can possibly not pay. That's everyone. I don't think anyone doesn't feel that way.
Right.
It's like, look, I like my money. Yeah, I need Uncle Sam to be more fucking responsible with that allowance before I'm trying to hand over any more of it.
You have California that's what would they be, like the fourth or fifth largest economy in the world?
I thought it was like the third.
Maybe you're third. Yeah, I wasn't exactly 100%, but I thought it was the third.
Yeah, it's in the top five.
But I didn't want to. Yeah, I didn't want to say that be wrong. But and they're bankrupt. Like how? What are you doing with that money? That's where I go with it. Like what are you doing? But
that's always been the accountability issue for our country,
right?
In the way we've felt about it for a long fucking time. And
I mean, that was, you got Newsom there, right?
Yep.
He literally says we have to shut down the state, right? We shut down the state, went into like stay-at-home orders. restaurants, hair salons, basically like anything that wasn't like a grocery store.
Yeah, chop the legs out.
Where it was like shut down.
Or
Except,
not mom and pop hardware stores. We have to keep Home Depot open because
Right.
they still pay the majority of city tax revenue.
Liquor,
so we're not closing those.
Liquor stores didn't close.
Yeah.
Marijuana dispensaries didn't close. Gyms closed though.
Right.
You know why? Because gym taxes ain't nearly as much as liquor taxes.
Or the 48% on pot.
Right. You're like,
You know
come
what
on.
I mean? So let me get this thing right. This thing that we have hundreds of thousands of citizens in jail for, which is marijuana. This is now an essential business?
Right. It gets to stay open during a pandemic? Come on, it's crazy.
And look, I feel it's really strange because I feel both ways about that. I feel like that's fucked, right? Like that logic's really bad.
Yeah.
And at the same time, is there anyone currently in trouble for a marijuana offense that wasn't aware it was illegal when they did it?
Right.
And I think you have to take responsibility for you did an illegal thing. I don't believe the crime fits the punishment.
Mm-hmm. That's really a tough scenario, right? That is not black and white. That is super gray, and I don't even...
No, and especially with people... people are survivors. And if you
Exactly.
put people in wrong spots, they're still going to try to do what they can to get by.
I think that's me, my 37 years of experience of life, is really realizing when I was younger, everything was black and white.
Yeah.
And I realize more so now as I get older, nothing is black and white, and it's almost all gray.
It's all nuance.
It's crazy.
Right? And that's been the consistent conversation I've had on probably the last 5 podcasts with various people. It's like, it's all nuance.
Yeah.
There's so much it's just not an easy left or right.
Nope.
And I think that's part of the issue we're dealing with as a country is from the leadership standpoint, without the politics of it, just personality-wise. I feel we have a leader that never admits they're wrong, doesn't say I'm sorry, and won't apologize. And if that's the case, it's really hard to make progress if you don't ever admit I fucked up.
Yeah.
Because then there's no reason to change course. Like, I have to do that in my own training. I have to do that with my businesses. I have to do that with everything. I'm like, yo, this was wrong. Let's not do that anymore.
I did a workout yesterday. I was like, that was stupid. I shouldn't have done that. And that's just how politics are in nature. None of them do. Like, I don't like to point fingers at anybody.
No.
Because they all are the exact same. Like, none of them will apologize. That's like the running thing is like, we just want an apology. We just want to hear you say you were wrong.
Right.
And none of them will. And it's
we can't even currently get our president to say that he disagrees with white supremacist organizations because he's still playing the political game of not really answering a question.
it's
And it's just a shame. It's a shame that that's where we've gotten.
right. It's really crazy. I mean, yeah.
It's the first time in my lifetime that I've felt embarrassed to be American.
I don't know if I would say I'm embarrassed. Have you seen this? Have you seen the movie, why am I losing my mind right now? The Social Dilemma.
I have not watched it yet, but I'm familiar.
Get into it.
Yeah, it'll be a deep dive.
It'll change your perspective on a lot of things because I think that right now we are everything is so radicalized, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like in past, the person who was elected our president was always the most moderate, right? The guy because you always had your political side, right? You had your conservatives and your liberals, and you had that platform already, right? So if you had an R or D next to your name, you knew you had those people,
yep,
right? No matter what. And then the most moderate president typically came into office was because
he could pull the other side to him.
He could pull the people in the middle who were undecided, right? Who didn't declare themselves as Republicans or Democrats, right? And so now
the swing states,
exactly, right? And so now we have it's because of social media, I think. Everyone is like you have to draw the line in the sand and declare which side you're on, and you have to scream it from the top of your lungs. And there can be no conversations.
No.
And when you watch the Social Dilemma, the thing the guy says is he gets asked a question in the show, and he's like, "What are you most scared of from this?" And he literally looks in the camera and he says, "Civil war."
Yeah.
And it's crazy, but it's true. Because, I mean, I don't know if it really is this way, but it's being portrayed this way.
It is
And it's
indeed.
Because everyone is so willing to go on social media and write these things that they probably wouldn't say to a person to their face.
Of course not.
You know, and it's like, man, like.
Well, that's the accountability.
Exactly.
That we don't have any.
Right. We don't have any accountability. We just literally, we go on these platforms, we write what we say, then we can put our phone away and we don't have to look at it again.
Right.
Or you can sit there and get in arguments and call people names, and instead of having a civil conversation about something and actually maybe just having we disagree. No big deal. You know, it is what it is.
Well, it's like playing Xbox Live or not maybe Xbox Live, but online gaming and talking shit at that level, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or like I remember being in middle school and getting instant messenger, and we would go in there and just talk shit
Right.
in chat rooms
Right.
because you're invincible,
Yeah.
right? And just say the worst things possible to back and forth with some stranger who's probably another idiot kid. Of
Right.
course they are.
Right. Or an idiot grown adult.
It wasn't supposed to be my parents who were doing that. Like,
Right.
you guys are better than this. You're falling for it. Like the kids.
Yeah. But how they say in the movie, the show Social Dilemma, is these companies that are using these social media platforms, they're using your own brain against you. They're using human psychology against you. It is like using the very first computer against, you know, the most crazy advanced computer technology, you know, out there.
Yep.
Against yourself. Right? Your brain is the old computer, right? That it only knows
Yeah.
very linear things, right? Where this thing is like, no, we can, if we put this on here, and because he's looked at it more times than this, and like this is going to keep him on our platform more. It's crazy.
It is, right? And so one of the issues I have, there was another show going over the same type of thing that I was looking at, and it was about, you know, dealing with the data mining and the way those companies treat the data, and that the data is valuable.
Right.
You know, that, look, I know what time everyone picks up their phone, so I know what time you essentially wake up. I know what time you go to bed. I know where you shop. I know all these things, so I can target advertising to you in X, Y, and Z. It's very easy to get caught in the evil empire nefarious side of that.
Right.
But I'm also really glad that when I'm scrolling through my phone, it's not giving me ads for daycare because I don't have kids.
Right.
I'm glad of all the ads I don't see that don't have to do with me.
Yeah.
Because that would suck. I'm like, what the fuck? I don't want tampon ads. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
It's easy to think that like your scroll and my scroll are the same, but they're fucking not.
No, they're not.
It's
Yeah.
very easy. Like, there's probably some overlap.
Yeah.
Because our universes cross a bit. But
Sure.
like, if you're a professional cyclist, your Instagram is not the same as mine.
No.
And so it blows me away that people like agreed that this is the information I'm choosing to put out. Using my device is being tracked.
Right.
We've known that a long time.
Yep.
We also know that it's listening, which we've given it the right to do. We said, okay. And so instead of taking the responsibility and saying, like, maybe I should be better about when I use this,
Yeah.
how I use it, we want the same companies that have done this. We want them to pick and choose the data that we think's acceptable for them to take from us, not change our actions.
Right. Right.
We would like this change, but also never be inconvenient.
We don't want to have to do any of the work.
No, we would like to change nothing of our patterns.
Right.
Please watch less.
Just don't listen to us as much, and don't use our information to sell to companies to place ads on your platform. It's crazy.
Well-
I get it. Again, it's a gray area.
But it's our fault.
But you're right. It is. It's 100% accountability.
And we want to be saved by them
Yeah.
instead of save yourself.
I don't get it. Like, you know, like I think there's going to be this situation where people start to maybe push back a little bit against it.
I hope.
You know, I hope so too. I think that it's crazy. I can't sit here and bash social media because it's put me in a position where,
Well,
you know, that I get to do the job that I get to do.
It's a tool.
It is.
Yeah, I don't look at it any different than the way I always describe it is my phone essentially is fire. And it doesn't have an opinion. It is a tool.
Yeah.
Now I can use that tool and keep it under wraps, and I can warm meals, and I can cook, and I can forge tools, and I can build things, and I can power whatever. Or I can let it get out of control and burn my fucking house down. The fire doesn't care either way.
Right.
And so for me with social media, like, dude, that's a place I contribute and I don't consume much.
Yeah.
And then like, it's a tool.
It is.
And I use it as such. If there's shit that comes across my feed that doesn't make me smile or laugh, it's got to go.
Right.
Like, that's it.
That's the thing that gets so crazy, right? Where people just when people put derogatory terms like comments on people's pages that you don't even know, you're like, what? I mean, what kind of day are you having to where you took the I could never imagine taking the time to write something mean,
right?
Unless it's like a buddy that I'm just giving
shit
to, you know.
I just don't care. I change the channel.
Right. I don't want to exactly. I'll turn the TV off.
How many YouTube channels are out there?
Right.
Like, there's so many YouTube channels out there. I can't imagine commenting on one. Like, man, I get in some weird YouTube rabbit holes of just weird shit I like to watch, and so, like, one of which I found a channel that this guy modifies Hot Wheels, and it's fucking great.
What the
it's a great thing to watch while I'm fucking cooked to the moon.
I could see that.
And so like, this guy is modifying Hot Wheels, and people will comment and be like, you should do this and this. And I'm like, you fucking tell him what to do? Like, we've never met the person who's doing it. Like, it's just video of the car and him working on it, like, with his hands. And so I'm like, change the channel. If you don't like it, find another one. Like, there's probably 20 fucking Hot Wheel modification channels.
I'd like to know the number on that, really.
It's a whole subject. Look, if someone's great at it and has a big following, there's shitty Hot Wheel modification channels.
Because someone's trying, because they want to be great.
Just wants to be good. All he's got's a cell phone or like an old flip cam. It's just bad.
Dude, that's amazing. There is some crazy shit out there.
Dude, that's the one I get fascinated by is like, I realize like kind of the hierarchy of influencers that would operate in health and fitness. And that we have athletes, and then we have the Fitspo crowd, and then we have bodybuilders, and we have this, and we have some that are taken very seriously as athletes, and we have some that you realize are like, they're attractive. Right? Yeah. Every genre has it.
Yep.
Like cycling has it.
Yeah.
And fucking a Hot Wheel modificators, like, they're like, well, she doesn't do great cars, but she's hot.
Yeah.
And some guy's out there bitter about it. He's like, if I could be attractive. Like,
I'd make so much money. Crazy. I know. It's crazy. It is. And, it's all entertainment, right? We all just want to be entertained.
Yeah. And I mean, look, and I am far from being removed to the point that I don't find it odd or the level of narcissism that comes along with some of it to say, I think the conversations I have with my friends are cool enough that someone should pay me for that.
Right. I don't even.
It's a weird feeling.
I couldn't believe, like, when my guy, my guy who helps me logistically on a lot of my stuff, on my, like, programming and stuff like that, he's like, dude, you need to do a podcast. And I'm like, who wants to listen to me talk to people?
Everyone.
And dude, yeah, like, everyone. We've had a really great time. I mean, this is, we're going to share this podcast.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be episode 7.
Yeah, man.
And I'm like, dude, I'm getting, like, such great feedback on it.
I think this is like 146 or 147.
Dude, that's so awesome.
I've been consistent. The interviews I haven't missed maybe one or 2 weeks since I started. But
do you ever do, like, by yourself?
I started.
Okay.
So the easiest way to transition into that is to do Q&A.
Yeah, of course. Like, do a Q&A with like Instagram or something like that. Yeah, that's a great idea.
It's an easy way to do it, and it gives you a second upload.
Right.
And you get better at it.
Yeah, the thing for me is I'm always, no matter what it is I'm doing, I'm always trying to get better at it.
Of course. That's the whole fun part.
Yeah, that's the best part. And so listening to myself.
Oh, God.
Oh, bro.
You can't pay someone else to edit it. Once you're done.
No, I don't.
Just don't listen to it.
I don't edit it, but I do listen to it because I know I'm not a great speaker.
Right.
Like, I used to be deathly afraid of getting up and publicly speaking. Like, I'm talking about the anxiety that would go through my body. I've had to leave rooms before.
Come on.
Like, I'm talking, like, I would get tunnel vision and sweaty.
Oh, like full panic attack.
Like full panic attack. Like, and this was in a room of 7 people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like,
but performing and competing in front of people, no problem.
0 issues whatsoever. I mean, I get the butterflies.
Yeah, but the butterflies are good.
That's good, exactly. It's not a bad thing, and and that was all sports. I always got butterflies, and that was just, the excitement, not more less nervousness, but more excitement than
Yep.
getting to go out and compete. But when it actually came to speaking, man, I was just it was not my thing.
Most people.
And I hated it. Exactly.
Most people are not interested.
People say that it's actually their number one fear over death, which is crazy.
Public speaking.
And then once you do it and once you get used to it, man, it's so crazy. And you realize it's really not that big of a deal. Don't get me wrong. I'll still get those little moments, but I can contain them now because obviously I've done it a bunch of times where I'm, out there speaking in front of groups and especially when you're speaking on the subject of yourself, where it's super easy.
Right.
I'm not going to forget what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's me. It's my life. So it's not a hard thing to talk about. And that's really helped is obviously, just knowing what you're talking about makes it a lot easier.
Where I'll still get nervous is like if I'm invited to speak like a panel or something like that, right? And we're going to field questions, which I'm fine with. Mm-hmm. But it's the imposter syndrome that kicks up occasionally, and it's like, the fuck am I doing here?
It's holding yourself accountable.
Yeah.
Right? The same thing where you're like, is this real? Like, do I do the things that I say I do?
Well, it's that, and then it's like, occasionally for me becomes looking at who else I'm on stage with, and I'm like, one of these is not like the other. Right. And I'm like, fuck am I doing here, man? Someone thinks this is a good idea, but...
Right, yeah, I've definitely had those moments.
Let's give it hell.
I'm like, what? Like, I mean, I was on a panel with when I was a Nike athlete, or still.
Yeah.
And I was on there with the number one women's WNBA draft pick.
Oh shit!
Like this freak basketball player, and she was an Olympic champion as well. And she's sitting there talking, and they're like, "What's your favorite moment?" She's like, "Oh, when I won the Olympics." And I'm like, "Do I have to go now?" I was like, "Do I have to say something?" Really?
Nothing.
yeah. Like,
I've never had a good moment. It's fine.
Like, don't get me wrong. I'm proud of like my accomplishments.
Of course, right?
But like I just don't look at myself like, oh, I'm not an Olympic champion, but a CrossFit Games athlete, took second, Navy SEAL. Like, they're all good accomplishments. I guess for me growing up, it was just Olympics was like, oh man.
Same way I feel about Highland Games, right? Like if I was a really good thrower, there's a thing for me to go do called the Olympics. It's not new. I wasn't invited.
Right.
So I did this other thing.
Yeah, and it's interesting. And then exactly now we're sitting here chatting, and people want to listen to us talk.
Well, part of that I think is just the fact that we stuck to a thing.
Right.
That we've done it forever, and what's come from like that different kind of physical aspect of our lives of having that in the tank is kind of always a consistent thing is by this age, like you end up respecting all the other folks no matter what their background is because you can't fake strong and you can't outsource it. You can't hire someone to do it for you. So if you've got it, like we've shared a lot of things.
We've had some struggles that we've
we've all had surgeries. We've all fucking been beat up. We've all across the board, man. And it's not fuckery.
It's not. And I heard something the other day, and I thought it was a really cool statement. I've never heard it put this way. Like I don't. Obviously, there's just a lot of whatever motivational quotes and shit out there. But this quote was like, "To be great, you don't have to. It's really not that hard, because so many people are so okay with being mediocre. You have to go just one little step further to be great."
Yeah.
And it like sunk in and stepped in. I was like, "Damn, that's so true."
Or a lot of it.
And I'm not saying I'm great by any means.
Yeah.
But but to go out and do awesome stuff, it really isn't that hard, because so many people are just like okay with, just going through the motions almost.
Dude, I felt that way. I don't remember when it clicked, but I remember at some point, like realizing that the other folks in my age group, who I believe are lazy, for the most part, or aren't willing to suffer as much as I am.
Right.
That, like, if this is who I have to compete with for jobs the rest of my life, okay.
Yeah.
I'll do just fine.
I'm in. I'm in.
I will happily outsuffer you.
Yeah.
And
enjoy it. And that's the thing, like,
because I just want progress. I haven't lied to myself about some there that fixes my bullshit.
Yeah.
I just want progress.
Right. I mean, the thing, I was thinking about this on the way over here, the thing for me, it was just, I people would look at the stuff that I don't do and call those sacrifices. Where I'm like, you think I sacrificed? I'm like, I didn't sacrifice. I didn't want to go to the bar.
Right.
I didn't want to go drink.
It's so funny that people, dude. That's one of those things that, like, you know, Bonnie does online coaching, and then like I've helped a handful of people, and like I'll get questions, and it's like, you know, nutrition, blah blah blah. How do you handle alcohol? I'm like, I don't drink. I did a lot,
Right.
at one point, but I don't anymore. I have a couple beers a month, maybe two.
I'm literally the same, like 2 maybe a month.
Well, I quit being able to predict my hangover.
Exactly.
And it can be, I can have a beer and feel shit tomorrow, and I don't have an answer for that. And so, look, the juice ain't worth the squeeze. I'm not drinking anymore. Whereas more herbal remedies have tended to not prove me to have a headache tomorrow. And so it seems better.
I'm the same way, man. I was a big drinker. I drank a lot I was in early 20s, I would say. Early 20s, a big drinker. And, now I'll have maybe 1 or 2 beers. I still have a taste for it. I still enjoy a beer.
Yeah, same.
But I'm exactly the same thing. It's not worth. I would rather be able to get up, go work out, do whatever I want to do.
And then that's the key word. I'd like to be able to get up and do whatever I want to do.
Right.
Not, and then the cycle of like, well, I laid on the couch and I was fucking lazy. And like, I'm constantly just trying to outsmart that part of me.
Right.
That wants to do nothing.
That's a great point.
That's an old Anthony Bourdain quote.
Yeah.
And he's like, my life is a series of steps and strategies to outsmart and outwit the pot smoker in me that wants to lay on the couch and do nothing all day.
Dude, it's a great point. I mean, it's true because that's in all of us.
Yeah.
A lot of people. I mean, I don't care who you are. I don't care who you know, the baddest dudes out there that portray themselves on social media to be these fucking 30-milers every day or whatever. You know that I'm. You know,
David Goggins, man.
Just be hard. You just be hard. You know why he does that? Because exactly what you just said. And that's what I don't know David Goggins at all.
Sure.
You know, he's a SEAL, obviously, and we share that, and I respect him, and I think it's cool the motivation he's putting out for people. If people need
he's
that,
doing way more good than bad.
exactly. And if people need that, then great, fantastic. Yeah. But when people ask me about him, I'm like, he's an extremist.
Yep.
He went from one extreme to the other, and he realizes if he's not this extreme, he's going to be this other extreme. Because that's what he was. He was a overweight guy. What he was, like an exterminator.
Yeah, unhappy.
You know, unhappy, drinking milkshakes.
Right.
In his story, you know, and you're talking about it, and I'm like, you know, I didn't come from that. I'm not like, I wasn't, like, I was always an athlete, so I was always in decent shape. I
mean, look, and my childhood was way different than his.
Yeah,
you know, I listened to his audiobook too, and I'm with you. My problem as like an athlete and performer, where I get interested, is like, well, I'd like to hear the story about the guy who went to Bud's and just knocked it out of the park the first time and didn't have to go in for the third round.
Right.
Like, that's the badass.
Yeah.
The one that did it in his sleep.
I didn't want to try.
Right.
I'm not trying to brag.
I understand. Fuck David Goggins. I see what you're saying.
No, man. It was, like, to be honest, people always ask me what's the toughest thing you ever did, and I say it's college wrestling.
I fucking bet.
Dude, it was one of the most brutal, and I think I just wasn't prepared mentally for the transition from high school sports to college sports yet. You know, like
different
it was a completely different ball game, and I was a little cocky, right? I came in from, I thought I was, you know, our high school wrestling coach was an animal, and we came from a really good wrestling program, actually St. Charles West. It's not too far from here, little 30 minutes away. Craig Martin, phenomenal coach. He was a, you know, All-American at Mizzou wrestling coach, and he hammered us, right? I walk into college thinking, like, I've been through some tough shit in my life, you know, naive as all. And, man, I walk into college wrestling, and I went to Lindenwood, not even a Division I wrestling school, you know, NAI, and holy shit.
Yeah, it's not like you showed up at Iowa with Brock Lesnar.
Right,
or
right.
One of those monster factories.
Right, this is NAI college wrestling. I'm like, okay. No, man, it was a different level. And I had the wrong mindset for it, and I think that's what, you know, the transition. But Bud's, you know, get back to what we were talking about, you know, Bud's is tough and it's hard, but exactly, like, it's like people put it up on this pedestal, and I think that's why the dropout rate is so high. It's like 200 and, you know, or it's like an 80% dropout rate. But it's because people put it up here.
But I think that's also a misconception, and I was lucky enough to hear someone talk about buds. A handful of different friends who've all been through it, and it's their frustration was in the strength and conditioning community when they're trying to mimic buds training, seal fit or whatever it is, right? These different things, and they're like, man, you're missing the point. The reason 80% don't pass buds is because that's the plan.
Right.
Is we're setting up a course for deselection.
Yeah.
We want 80% to quit. That means we did our job correctly.
Yeah. And it hasn't changed for years.
Of course.
For years.
It's not that people aren't tougher.
Right.
It's that we're not going to stop fucking laying into you until 80% of you quit.
They're going to make you quit.
Yes, this is the goal. We're not stopping until we have you quit.
And it's...
We're not going to pass a whole class. Right. It's not going to fucking happen.
And I just don't think there's that... I mean, could you maybe find 300 guys that could make it through and put them in the same class? Probably. You probably could.
But they're still bottom of the ladder, man.
Exactly, right?
There's always going to be.
There's always going to be people who, just are out there and they're not going to make it through it. It is what it is.
You just run into freaks out there.
Yeah. I had friends that went through buds 3 times though. I was like, you like buds? I hated it. I didn't want to be in it at all.
This 2 weeks was enough for me. Yeah. I didn't fucking need 6 of it.
I was like, no, man. It's 6 months, and I was like, I wanted to be in it as little as possible. So
Yeah, I don't think I would have fared well.
It's physically demanding. It's mentally challenging, and they reduce your sleep levels, right? So you to reduce stress.
Yep.
But it's not the hardest thing in the world.
I wonder, like, at the end of that, I wonder what your blood looks like what your blood hormone levels and everything. I bet cortisol is so fucking through the roof. I bet testosterone's trash. Growth is trash.
I've always had low testosterone.
Really?
Always. And, the only thing that I actually got to get it to come up was intermittent fasting.
For me, it was testosterone. As soon as I started adding that back in the system, it's worked great.
I'm still in a sport that I can't do it. So, but the only way I could get it up, I was always in not low 400s, but 400 range.
Yeah.
And so,
mine was 80.
Which is wow.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's crazy.
And that was like I got my blood work done at 30, and
at 30,
at
you
30,
had 80,
85, something like that. And then
what was causing that?
I don't know.
Did you have a
just wasn't there. Hadn't done anything. Had never run a cycle before that or anything. This was...
And there was no sort of, I don't know, like a tumor of some sort?
No trauma, no nothing.
Really?
I know my brother had low test, and so I had started, and I don't know if it's just years of football or slight head injuries repeatedly from, whatever. I don't think I'd had enough, but needless to say, at 30, that's what it was. And... So whenever I retired from competing in 2016 at 32, 32, 33, like immediately got on. Like, well, the fuck not. I'm not getting drug tests anymore. It's not illegal for my life.
Right. That's true.
So, I mean, to be dead honest with you,
right?
Why wouldn't I take everything I can as a human to increase my performance?
Until it starts to go the other way, right? I mean, obviously, I don't want to die from it, which I'm not sure.
But you can't with test. That's the thing.
Right, exactly. Like I don't even know what I'm talking about because I've never even dabbled into it.
Yeah, so. We could inject you with a bottle of test the size of your water bottle. You're going to get an awful abscess. It's not going to go well into the muscle, but you're not going to die.
Right.
Whereas, I mean, there's enough cheeseburgers that'll kill you.
Sure will. I'll eat all of them.
Well, damn right. I'll
try
to
get there, pal.
I don't know who's at the bottom of this, but I'm going to work my way to it. It's a weird thing, right? Like it's very interesting to me that the essential essence of what makes males male is it's section 1? What's it called? Drugs in that category?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Fuck, terrible with that, but yeah.
Class.
Yeah, class whatever.
Yeah, class.
It's a felony.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I mean, work with a doctor, get my shit done, sort it out, and monitor my blood on my own.
Yeah.
Every 3 months.
Okay. Nice.
And so I like my test to stay around 1,000 to 1,200.
Okay. And that you just feel better.
Normal.
Everything. Yeah.
I feel in a way that I never have to consider why I'm tired.
Right.
Like I know I'm tired because I fucking beat the shit out of myself.
Yeah.
but I don't have to wonder about motivation. Like I think better, I sleep better, I want to fuck, I want to, like everything, right? Like
human things.
Yeah.
Do human things. Yeah, I like that. I was gonna ask you something. Oh, the knee.
Yeah.
Dude, what's going? Like, how's it going, man?
So
I mean, I know
it's better.
You got a mechanical knee.
I got a full fake one.
36. How old
Yeah,
are you?
36. So yeah, 37. I'll be 38 in April. I am.
Oh, so we're basically. So you turned 38 in April.
Yeah.
Okay, I turned 38 in July.
All right. Yeah. So.
Yeah, so we're pretty much the same age.
Yeah. So fake knee's good. I mean, it's not full range of motion, but it wasn't prior to surgery either. So.
No, never will be again.
It's not gonna. The issue I currently have is my hip.
Right.
The right hip on that side's also beat up.
Okay.
And it on X-rays shows a lot of arthritis, and so I don't have any basically internal or external rotation on my right hip anymore, or on the femur, and so it gets caught, and like not caught like stuck, but like if it tries to go in, like everything has to turn with it, like my hip and back and everything, and so I can run. I signed up for an 18-mile trail run in Moab I'm going to do in May.
Fuck yeah.
And, like, I'll walk as much as I feel like fucking walking. I don't give a shit. My goal's finish.
First of all, it's 18 miles.
Right, my goal's finish, and it's not that far.
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
it's going to take me 6 hours.
Yeah.
And cool.
Probably quicker than that.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But that's what I put down as an
What's the-
estimated time.
what's
Like,
the
I can walk.
What's the elevation gain?
I think it's like 2,000 feet.
The thing you might run into is the downhill shit.
Probably. And I'll
Yeah.
walk.
That-
I don't have a pride that my goal is finish. It's
Even walking downhill shit is what crushes me. So I did this thing out in Boulder with a buddy, Tosh, where it's called it was like Big Fish. He has a Big Fish Foundation, right? He works with vets with mental shit going on, right?
Okay.
PTSD and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And so we basically did this event where he kind of set it up to where you had to find failure, in a sense, where you did 2.5 hours of either running on a true form treadmill or on a 2.5 mile loop that he had around on his property in Boulder at like 6,000 feet or something like that.
Yep.
And so I was like, I'm gonna come do it. I'm not that far out from a high tibia osteotomy on this left knee.
That's a fun one.
But I still don't have any ligaments in,
Yeah.
so I don't have
ligaments.
Fuck them. They're weak. And so I'm like, man, I'm gonna come out and I'm gonna do this, but I'm not gonna have any expectations on, and I'm not gonna be afraid to like stop at, the moment I feel like I need to. And my knee swelled up to about a cantaloupe, and so I got 12.
See, I don't get any swelling.
That's great.
And I mean, running's what it is. I mean, I think I'm as good a runner right now as I've ever been in my entire life, which doesn't say much, but
But you're also a monster.
yeah, the bigger fella.
Yeah, you've done other things in your life, and running isn't on your list. And I'm sure unless it's a very short period of time, like a solid 40 or 100-yard dash.
Yeah, the high tibia osteotomy is a weird one, right?
It was,
and it that one still is the one that feels annoying.
Yeah,
because I feel shin pain.
Yes, on the outside, low left outside.
Mine was from the inside.
Okay, so I get a little bit. I had the it's on the internal side or medial side. Yes, sorry. And but I get pain down here when I run.
So I don't have a ton of nerve feeling on the outside of my leg from the other 8 surgeries.
Right.
Now this foot will sit like
cockeyed?
further down on that side, and I don't know if it's just nerves not pulling. But yeah, I'll get like weird shin splint feelings.
I have the triangle that this is all numb.
Yeah,
that whole thing. Yeah, like you can't I'll feel that weird feeling when I hit something on it.
Yeah, so it's like I don't feel much, but like if I was to walk and accidentally drag it across the corner of like a cardboard box, I think you've cut me open.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I'm bleeding everywhere. Somehow my intestines are out of my shin.
Yep.
I recently got tattooed and like across that spot, and it was as awful as I was thinking it was gonna be. It was fucking super lame.
Yeah, that could have been good.
I just sat there like, all right, that's cool.
This isn't fun.
That's another one, man. The older you get, like getting fucking tattooed sucks,
dude. So I am, pretty 30. I'm 37 as well. I think I've had this for 2 years now, and these were like my first tattoos.
Right.
I hated every second of it. The moment the guy put his needle in my arm, I was like, "Why did I sign up for?"
do this?
And I did the one sitting was 10 hours.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to do this for 10 hours?
Yeah, it's the same. Like, this
So-
was 11 straight, and then this was like 16 total over 2 sessions, and then this was like another 11. And for me, the arm still's not a big deal.
Right. How about the inside, though?
It sucks.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah,
that was-
I'm not looking forward to it. It's coming. This side's been done a long time.
Yeah.
This was done in my 20s when I was still mad about things. And like was like, you got to earn tattoos. It's part of the cool part.
Keep your face cool.
And I mean, like, my back's tattooed from the back of my neck to the back of my knees, and like, there's no fucking way I could do it if that wasn't done already.
Yeah.
And, like, in a real word, I would love to have it redone with different art, but. No, we're good on that first pass.
I think we're gonna stick with this one.
we'll learn from that.
I don't
No,
know.
man, getting tattooed fucking sucks.
I'm gonna finish my forearm up, and that's it.
Yeah.
I'm calling it.
I'll finish this arm, and then I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. I'm sure I'm an idiot. So.
But the knee, back to the knee. Yeah, the high tibia osteotomy. My leg sits different. It's the angle of my leg is different.
Yeah, of course.
And the doctor told me he's like,
Yeah.
we're changing the angle.
And you'll catch it in the hip now.
Yeah.
The hip and ankle are gonna have to.
Well, my hip's been pretty messed up for the past 6-7 years.
Perfect.
It's just tight,
Yep.
right? Just tight. And that's what I was gonna ask you when you said that about your hip. Was that from all the throwing? Is that what it's from?
It couldn't have helped.
Right.
Right. It has to be. I'm a one-sided athlete that spun one direction.
Yeah.
My entire career. And everything's hip extension pushing the right hip forward.
Gotcha. And so, is it your non-dominant side?
No, it is dominant.
It's your dominant
Yep.
side that's hurt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because as a thrower, that's the load leg.
Right.
That's the one that stays back and pushes everything. I mean, essentially, like, you can pretty much coach the throws without needing to see other people throw and just say, turn the right foot.
Yeah.
Like, if your right foot's pointing backwards and you're finishing a throw that way, like, you didn't drive any force into it. The hip and foot need to go that way like you were throwing a punch.
Right.
And, yes, it's just gone.
Okay.
And eventually I'll have hip replacement at some point.
Yeah. I have a doctor or a chiropractor, and you know John Wellborn?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wellborn's got a chiropractor, and this guy, the way the stuff he did, the only way to describe it is magic.
Okay.
He's rubbing on parts of your body, but he did a whole, like.
Is it PRP?
No, it's no injections.
No.
It's called
RPR.
That might be it.
So there's Cal Dietz is a coach in Minnesota
this guy was
who helped develop it.
This guy invented this, and so I met him. I can't think of his name, but he was the athlete or the trainer for the Utah Jazz.
Okay.
And so this guy, he rubs on some spots on your body, and then it basically just activating muscle groups.
See, this sounds like RPR.
Yeah, it probably there's
It's
probably a few things
it's like
out
reflective proprioceptive reset or something like that.
there. Yeah.
So it's resetting wiring, basically, is what
Right.
I've been explained.
And he brought a guy up from the crowd, and he did it, and he showed the guy low back. The guy had some low back extension issues or something like that, or just was really small, but didn't have the correct amount of extension. Rubbed on his ass, his back, and the back of his head, and then he literally
it changed hip extension.
Added 15 degrees to his hip extension.
Yeah, the same.
minimum.
So I'd be shocked if it's not
Yeah.
Cal Dietz's stuff, the RPR. Jeff Nichols is familiar in practicing it. J.L. Holdsworth is a coach that's in Ohio from around Elite that I've worked with on it, and it's interesting.
Yeah.
And you can do it to yourself, you can rub your sternum and catch yourself under the rib cage, and then
Oh, you know what? Actually, we talked about this on our last
Yeah.
podcast. We
so
did.
you can do all that, but that would be the daily preparation version.
Yeah.
Now, having one of them work on you as far as the get activated side
Yeah.
is a really uncomfortable thing.
Okay.
And JL described it to me just trauma. And he's like, if we're looking at your body from a trauma standpoint, it's holding on to things.
Right.
You got your brain turned off 9 times and woke up in pain without what the fuck happened here.
Right. Yep.
The body doesn't know.
Yeah.
And so, of course, it's guarded.
Yep.
And just trying to work through that and what you hold on to.
I got this guy's contact information.
Okay, cool.
I'll give it to you, and I don't know if it's exactly what the same stuff you're describing, but it was really interesting. And some of his research he was saying was, or basically what he was saying was, when he was the athletic trainer, they, like for the Utah Jazz, the year before they had, however many injuries, right? It was, say, 100 players throughout the season couldn't play because of something, whatever. The next year he had 98% of the team, only 2 players didn't buy into his system. Those 2 players were the only players that got hurt throughout the entire year. The next year, 100% of the players bought into it, and literally no one was hurt.
Whoa.
He had people walk by, like they were doing X-rays of some guy, and he's like, a doctor walked by and was like, that looks like a total knee replacement right there, waiting to happen. Just looking at the X-rays of the guy. The guy still hasn't had a knee replacement, all because of like this technique that this guy uses. It's pretty interesting. I know. Really interesting. I'll give you his information.
Look, I'll take help fucking anywhere I can
exactly,
get it
man.
Point.
All right, like that's all we're trying to do.
I'm open to
everything.
I'm open to anything that's willing to enhance my performance. I've been to Costa Rica and done ayahuasca, dabbling in kind of a little bit of everything.
Yeah, man. How was that?
It was great. It's a lot.
I remember I hit you up right after. And I was like, because I had a good friend in the military, and he's working with a lot of military charity events that are helping guys with PTSD and all that stuff to use the I don't think it was the same stuff, because
typically PTSD stuff seems to be like ibogaine.
Yep.
Is what they're using.
Yep.
I don't have any experience with that one, but I'm interested. Like,
right.
I know Chris Bell, Mark Bell's younger brother, who did the documentary Bigger, Stronger, Faster, Trophy Kids, etc. And then has put out one called Ibogaines.
Okay.
And he had double hip replacement early just due to like a genetic issue.
Okay.
And he said it changed pain for him 100%.
Wow.
As well as the addiction issues that he had suffered from for
Well, that's
years.
what it's used for, right? It's used to get people off heroin.
And it has like a 70% success rate.
That's crazy.
Like in a weekend.
But we can't.
A fucking weekend we pull this off? Like.
But we can't, but it's not legal here in the United States.
What a fucking bummer, dude.
So crazy.
What a crock of shit.
It's really insane.
Can we just start with agreeing, do we want to help people or not?
Right.
And that was a big one.
People who want help.
Right. And that was a big change for me with cannabis. Like, I grew up with the say no to drugs and everything propaganda, and like I didn't smoke in college because we were drug tested as fucking athletes.
Right.
Like, so no way was I going to have to explain to my parents I lost my scholarship because I got high. Like, this seemed like a very easy stress that I could avoid, so I did.
Yep.
And even, like, by then, like, I don't understand, like, how long is this in your system? Forever, as far as I fucking know.
Exactly.
I'm not that smart. I'm just terrified.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, once I kind of got, more an adult, and by that point, like, I mean, I'm still working in petrochemical industry, so I can't smoke. We're drug tested relatively regular with that job. But when that went away, and then I was still dealing with a lot of pain, like, man, if I could try anything. So it just started with I didn't want to smoke. I got a vape pen, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then started smoking more, and have, since just become, relatively a pothead. I guess I smoke every day.
How'd you sleep with that?
Great.
Really?
It's fucking fantastic.
Because everything I've read in sleep doctors is the fact that it's one of the side effects of marijuana is insomnia.
Not for me.
That's great.
Do I think if I was 100% pain-free, do I think that the sleep's as good as that? No.
Right.
But I'm never 100% pain-free.
Fact.
So I'm going to take something.
Right.
Like, whether that's a fucking hot bath.
I think that's better than the alternatives out there.
Right. So this is giving me the best quality sleep I can currently get.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's helped me a lot. It's helped me also kind of even mentally with, being able to, I'm fucking ADD like crazy. So being able to focus in on things and then turn a bit of the volume down on all the shit around me that I don't care about. It helps with that. So I found it really valuable. And it's also what's kept me off of opiates.
Right.
Because, look, most days I'm at a 1 to 3. Or just uncomfortable.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not pain anymore like my knee was. But now with the hip, like, it's just uncomfortable and it's annoying. Pot makes me not care.
Right.
And so, I'll smoke in the evening and try to get high. But, like, if I'm going to smoke it all during the day, like, it's a hit and I'm good for the next hour and a half, and I'm still very cognizant. I can hold conversation. I can do all these things.
Yeah.
And once that clicked for me, it was this kind of feeling of like, what the fuck were you protecting me from?
Right.
Like, this is what legally had to be done to protect me from this?
Yeah.
This thing that's a benefit? That isn't addictive? I think it can be psychologically addictive.
Everything
Can, right?
Can be.
And then that has stemmed into everything else. I'm like, yo, if you lied to me about this, what else have you lied to me about and I'm interested to know?
It is interesting. So, yeah, that kind of stuff is when things like that come out, right? When things change and all of a sudden now drastically, like, look at me, how many places marijuana is legal.
Yep.
And I don't smoke marijuana. I never, I did in college a little bit, but never like, I was never like I'm a pothead.
Yeah.
I
thing at a party.
Yeah, exactly. Here and there, kind of just to try it, and I hated it, to be honest. I hated the way I felt. I hated the way like my brain thought when I was on it. I just thought it was really stupid.
I like it because it turns off the laser lights.
Yeah,
like I can just sometimes at night, especially here, I don't want to think.
Yeah,
I just want to stare at that fucking thing, and then I'm going to go to bed.
Yeah, I didn't like the way it made me feel. So
I'm also not responsible for two humans that live in my house.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. And it's just not for me. It just never was something, and I never got into it. But exactly, if it's something that's going to help someone get out of pain, because I've been in pain. Like, maybe not to the extent with your knee, but
dude, that doesn't. Dude, I get messages like that, and I bet you do too.
Yeah.
And it's this. Well, I'm having issues, but like I'm not in pain like you were. Right. And I'm like, yo, but that doesn't make your shit not hurt.
Right.
Stop comparing.
Pain is pain, man.
Yo, yeah, comparison's a thief of joy.
Yeah, it really is.
And so, what do you want, Ollie? Big loud cat.
What's up, kitty cat?
It's fucking loud as shit, cat. And then from that, like with starting to experiment with anything else, like with psychedelics, with mushrooms or anything else, have been great.
Oh, hi there. Yeah. And exactly the same thing. If it's going to help someone get off heroin, get out of it.
Well, and let's just be clear. The opiate epidemic is heroin.
Right.
So we have a problem with heroin and legal heroin.
Right. So now it's frustrating to say the least when you see military guys, right? Coming back from, we've been at war for
20 years.
Close to. So it's like, gosh, like if this is going to help these guys. And
why wouldn't we have everything available?
And my buddy's saying the things that he's seeing, the people he's seeing that it helps are the, people you would never even think, right? Yeah. Because we all put some sort of a front on in certain instances. And so you don't even know. You don't know what the struggles these people are having. And when we see something that they're seeing solutions for, but pharmaceuticals don't know how to make money off of it yet. Man, that's the kind of stuff you're like.
It's a bummer.
It is. It's a huge bummer.
It's fucking criminal. It's criminal to me, man. That the idea that like, even so, recently, like big doses of mushrooms are one thing. Right. It is a whole wild bit. LSD the same way. Ayahuasca, ibogaine or iboga or any of these other type of big psychedelics. Microdosing, however, like LSD or psilocybin. What are you doing, Ollie? Just beat him. Just give him a launch.
I'm gonna touch his face and the tail.
No, this is a place for me to be right now. For those with the microdosing, like for the way that I was interested that it got explained to me was, the neuro pathways within our brain get set in. Like, this is how I problem solve, or even emotionally. So, like, presented with a problem, I react with no and anger first, and then I'll come back to it. Like, if there's a stress, it's always defense first.
Right.
And, realizing those patterns that you have, imagine the neural pathways in your brain being cut in the way, like, ski tracks on a ski slope. And so people follow the ski tracks because it's path of least resistance. It's what we do. The microdosing is like laying down fresh powder.
Okay.
And so you can start picking different ways. Mm-hmm. And they're easier to pick. Your brain will just allow you to look at a thing and go, oh, okay. Instead of what the normal emotional response would have been.
Right.
Now, you've got to decide that that's the pathway you'd like things to continue, but it will open the avenue easier.
That's
and then like microdosing, like I've played with it, and I mean, I've experimented with doing like probably 30 days in a row of microdosing, and I mean it's such a small dose. It's not noticeable, I guess is the best way I can say, but you know something's running in the operating system.
Gotcha.
And it's you take any nootropics or anything like that?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. So it works the way you wish those did.
Okay.
You know, like there's part of you that takes one of those and you want it to be that pill that it's like, pew, and you see everything better and your brain's faster and I can solve. It does that.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
It is that.
Right. So it is what you hope for these things, right?
Dude, and yeah, and not only that, it's pain relief.
Oh wow.
I get big time out of it.
No kidding.
In fact, even more so, like on a more aggressive dose. There's no pain at all. And not only there's no pain, like you're not drunk. And I think that's a big misconception with psychedelics or mind altering things, whether alcohol or anything else, is most people have only ever been drunk. And so they assume that level of out of control is the level of out of control that comes from anything else.
Right.
And I mean, you can be on a full-on other planet, psychedelics-wise, and I can concentrate enough to say, oh, hey, man. Or walk somewhere. Like, you'll think you can't, but you're fine.
Yeah, okay.
Like, you won't wobble. You're not fucked up. I mean, I wouldn't drive anywhere because I'm not an idiot.
Yeah.
But, so a lot of that time now for me, like, if I'm too beat up and feel kind of shit, like, maybe it's time for, like, a long Saturday of heavier dose and kind of hang out down here and take recovery day, right?
Right.
But it's like I get a vacation from being in this machine.
Is it?
And
have you ever,
gratitude and empathy go through the roof.
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. Is it like so? Is almost like meditating, but it's
Yes.
on something.
And then even with that, like with meditation and then perception of things, like your brain, for me, like I'll end up writing. I'm like, God damn, Ollie, you're a disaster, son.
Get out of here, girl. Tailwind.
Fucking ring-tailed idiot. Yeah, like, so even perception, like, I'll end up writing a lot and, like, come to a couple different, like, so one for me that happened was with ayahuasca. We were in Costa Rica, and I think overall for that trip, like, I got a very mild experience. I didn't get a ton of visual stuff, was more internal, but sorted through some shit. 2 of the nights I got nothing. And the third night that it actually popped it didn't fire off for me until we started seeing fireworks at New Year's.
Okay.
So like my first moment of 2020 was boop. Okay. And so, worked through some bits that I needed to figure out about my divorce. I worked through the end of my sport. I worked through these type of things. And then the one I didn't expect was I got this conversation from my hip and knee.
Like literally straight up talking to your hips.
Oh
and
yeah,
knee.
they started it, and so like
Sons of
just
bitches.
get this, you know who it is, right? But it's an audible voice you're conversing with.
Okay.
And they essentially had been like, hey man, like, it's like everything going good for you in your life, whether that's your business or relationship or any of these things, have kind of stemmed from your experience with competing. So the work we did, and we're done. Like, you found our limit, and you went past it.
Yeah.
And so we've died on our shield for this pursuit. What else is it you'd like from us? And we don't have anything else to give. So how about some fucking respect for where we've gotten? And dude, from that moment, it was this very clear feeling of like, you're right. Like, I'm not just going to hammer you back into competing with me and being on board again. Like, you're altered. You're done. And I need to shift gears on how I think about this and maybe treat you the way that I would like you to heal. Instead of, I'm going to keep squatting and eventually depth and everything will change. And being able to just make that realization and give it a break and just being like, okay,
Yeah.
you're right. Everything I have going well is work that you've done.
Right.
And thank you.
Yeah.
I'm going to be nice.
Man, that's a great realization. And it's interesting that you found it on that, right? You know, because it's so hard for any athlete that has been in competitive sport to give it up. Like, I used to be the guy who'd be like, why do these athletes, when I was younger, when everything was black and white.
Yeah.
When everything was black and white, why do these old-ass athletes try to continue to play these sports when they're past their prime, and then you get there?
Because they love it.
And you're right. You're like, and you've sunk your heart and soul into these, whatever it is that you're doing. Whether it be
frivolous pursuit at the end of the day, right? Like a fucking game.
A game or whatever it is. And and then and then all of a sudden you realize, you come to that realization that you're no longer where you're going, where you want to be, and you have to accept it. And the body's going to start shutting down on you in certain pieces, right? And it's going to be, that was a pretty hard thing for me to start to realize, is like, fuck my knee, it's just like, it will never be the same knee.
It's never going to be okay.
That was once, right?
Nope.
I look at, or my elbow, like, I just can't get this stupid fucking thing to go straight, I'm like, sometimes I just want to turn it over and fucking take
with
a
a hammer.
Be like,
dude, I've definitely had those days with my knee
straight.
of like, I could fucking lock this thing out if I really wanted to.
Right. But man, what an experience that you got to have, that you legitimately like sat and had a conversation with those body parts because of this, what we call a drug.
Chemical reaction.
Yeah, chemical reaction. They come to this realization, and it probably put you at peace a lot.
It helped. Man, it let go of a lot of things. I didn't realize that's where I was with it.
Right.
I'm like, man, I didn't realize the other day, or until the other day on this one, it was, thinking about my hip, and it was talking with my chiro about it, and essentially, very, very clear, it clicked that I'm like, okay, so this isn't soft tissue I'm going to work through and get range of motion back.
Right.
And so he's like, no, he's like, look, I don't think you need hip replacement yet. I mean, we can go in and we can clean up the arthritis, and we'll help things out.
Yeah.
And at that moment, like, dude, I'm scared of surgery.
Yeah.
I didn't, and that never clicked for me because I'm good at having surgery. I had a fucking lot of them.
Yeah, 9 of them.
Right?
That's a lot.
But, man, my right knee was supposed to be an ACL.
Yeah.
The end of 2016, it was supposed to be an ACL.
That's crazy.
Right? The most common surgery ever. Like, we're good at them.
Everyone does it now.
And it's not my doctor's fault. I didn't have a bad doctor. I didn't have a bad surgeon. This was an elective surgery that I made an educated decision on trying to do.
Right.
So these are the consequences. Sometimes it doesn't fucking work out. And it's not good luck. It's not bad luck. The universe doesn't care.
Nope.
And at some point, my career competing in the Highland Games or whatever it was going to come to a close.
Yep.
Right? Honestly, this probably did me better than continuing to get worse at it slowly and not understanding why.
Yeah.
But I would, because then you know what it fucking is. You still get those moments that it all clicks, and you're like, it's there. It's fucking there. I can find it. Yeah. If I just do this and this and this.
And you do it for one day, and then the next day you're like,
you can't walk.
Fuck, I'm fucking for 3 days. I'm still running through this right now. It's okay.
Yeah, and
I still have those moments,
dude. And it's, yeah, it was a very, very strange thing, and probably went the best way it could for me. But man, that realization of like, I don't know if I'm okay with going in to do a small hip cleanup.
Right.
Because the devil I currently know of how my hip feels
yeah.
isn't worth. I don't think I can go back to where it was. Like, if my hip gets in as bad a shape as my knee did, like, I don't know that I can survive that dark again.
Yeah.
And I'm not ready.
It's something that a lot of people just don't get, right?
No.
They don't get that, not only are you in pain physically, but the fucking mental drag and drain that it has on you daily. And I'm not saying it's the toughest thing in the world, but for an athlete coming from that world where something is, you think because everything else, right? You've been injured as an athlete. You go out, you go through your career, and you get these little nagging injuries that come and go.
Right.
And then that injury comes, and it doesn't go.
Just doesn't
and
go.
It never goes. And one day it'll be good, and the next day it'll be shit.
So where I ended up making a pretty big connection that gave a ton of empathy was, as I've never really dealt with long-term depression, that's what this has to be like. Is this constant thing? There's good days and bad days, but it's never not there. You still have moments where you laugh and have a good time with your friends, but so much of with like that pain was, dude, everything was this deposits and credit in an account. And like I was aware that there were X number of steps I get to take today. Now I don't know what number that is, but there's a point where there's too many.
Yep.
Or I did too much and now that cost me a week.
Yeah.
And that got old.
Yeah.
It got old, like I can't go up and down stairs. Like having that physical ability taken from me of a guy who like, this fucking thing does whatever I want it to do. Right. Like I could still do a standing backflip at 300 pounds when I was moving. Like this does whatever I want.
Right.
And it doesn't anymore.
Nope.
It doesn't. And if I look at why I went into pursuing strength, it's because I was curious to figure out what I can do. Right? Like I want to figure out what I'm capable of, what this can do, what can I push myself to be capable of. I can't be mad that I found out.
It's true.
That was the goal.
Right. You actually did what you wanted to do.
Yeah, it's not an infinite linear path the way like Father Time wins and the mileage wins.
And maybe as an athlete, right, we all can't accept that, right? Because in the end, the way we think as athletes is the fact that there's this never-ending, I always remember reading athletes say, the moment you know everything, you should retire. The moment you think you've accomplished everything, you should retire, right? And so for me, I've always been like, I'm never going to be satisfied.
Right.
Will I be happy with some of the aspects I get to in my life? But I'm never going to be satisfied. I'm always going to want to be getting better. But what you just said is, right, we came into this sport or this activity that we found wanting to push and find the limitations. And when you find it, it's a shitty feeling.
Well, but that was the goal.
Right. Exactly. But that's
I'm sorry that it doesn't match the expectations that you made up out of fucking the ether.
That's what I'm saying. Is like we have our expectations are endless.
Yeah.
And so that's where the struggle comes from. And I think it's it's just a crazy thing because when you're young and like you just said, when you're 300 pounds doing backflips, there are no limitations.
No, look, and even still, like I realize like I'm beat up and I don't move great. Like I can't fucking squat parallel.
Hey man, I've seen your squats. You squat fucking great.
It's great.
Don't you ever say it's not.
Yeah, it's something I should do a seminar on. Meanwhile, I still see like Kelly Starrett will sit comfortably, just ass on the ground, and I'm like, fucking noodle, goddamn freak.
I know.
But like we were at a thing in Colorado, and like I don't lift terribly heavy anymore.
Yeah.
But one of the things that we got thrown into is this little competition. It was like someone on your team has to come up with the best weightlifting total they can in 7 minutes. And so, because it was a group of powerlifters, and I'm the only person who's ever done any of those movements, I got nominated. Like I'm the dude with the fake knee who can't bend.
The 37-year-old fake knee guy.
He's our Olympic lifter.
Get him up there.
Dude, I muscle snatched an ugly 120 kilos.
I saw it.
And then I still clean and push pressed 150 kilos. I'm like, fuck it, we're okay.
I'm okay with this.
No, I felt like shit for 5 days afterwards.
Right.
But like, that's still there.
Hey, man.
And of course it is.
Exactly.
Because those deposits have been made for a long fucking time.
They don't just go away.
No. Now, what I love about switching over to something like cycling is that I'm interested now to pick sports and things I'm fucking bad at.
Right.
And stuff that's less physically demanding as far as intensity-wise.
You look just like a cyclist.
Yes. Dude, like, honestly, that's one of the reasons I've picked it. I do like cycling.
Yeah,
And
of
it also appeals to the rest of my bullshit of,
can't
like,
tell.
you mean there's things to buy that are expensive? Fucking perfect.
I love it.
Yeah, this is a great hobby for me. Things to tinker with and, like, a variety of disciplines and toys. And, like, I'm a gear whore all the way through. Well, I was as a lifter, and I am, I am as this. And so, trying to not let it turn into much of an arms race with I'll buy the next fastest thing instead of get better at it.
Right.
But at the same time, like, I'm even enjoying climbing on a bike because it's high reward, low risk.
Yeah.
You're not going to fall at that speed and get in any trouble.
It doesn't matter.
No,
it doesn't matter at all.
Whereas the mountain bike can still get squirrely.
Yeah, it
You know?
can. I like both too. I love road biking, but man, mountain biking is.
Oh yeah,
it can get.
It's a roller coaster that you get to control.
It can get gnarly.
Man, a big one for me. So I've taken a handful of, like, pretty decent crashes in the last probably 6 months.
Yeah.
Mentally, that's been really good because I felt like I was in a bike crash.
Right.
Not that I'm so stiff and fragile that I was going to ragdoll and fall apart. Of like, hey, riding's pretty cool, but I cannot afford to crash. Like, having some confidence that, like, okay, I'll survive.
Right.
Like, I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah, going up there with every part of your body already stiff. Yeah.
No, and then, like, I'll never be good at this. My skeleton's too big.
You'll be good.
Yeah, I'll be better than I've been now.
All you got to do is be better than you are.
Right. And that's for me. But, like, as far as, like, I'll never be good enough to, like, dust my local group.
Right.
And then decide, like, well, I should go find who's next in, like, the area and, like, go find a race and then do well. And then that switch in my brain can switch to, like, this is our thing. We're now going to focus.
Right.
There is a 0% chance I become best in the world on a bike at anything. Same as the NBA. If I want to take up shooting basketball, it's probably okay.
Probably going to be all right. I'm probably going to not try to go pro.
And so, yeah, I can just enjoy, like, now, especially as, like, my style of athletics have always been so power-based, whether it was throwing. And so there's no time for me to think about what's happening while I'm doing it. Mm-hmm. Like, even during a CrossFit workout, you have moments to think.
Oh, there's a few moments.
There's a lot of it.
Yeah.
That the body's too busy and the brain can just be like, what are we doing?
Right.
Throwing, it's a second.
Right.
And then I'm given a number as feedback to decide how well that went.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, cycling, there's plenty of moments while I'm doing it, I'm like, this isn't going great.
I'm not anywhere near my path. Where did they go?
This isn't ideal.
Yeah. And cycling by yourself is even harder.
Yeah.
Because when you're in a group, man, you can move. I love cycling. It's fun.
Yeah, and then, like, now realizing that the victory is just like, well, just don't stop.
Yeah.
Like, all you got to do is get to the end of it and not die, and you won.
Right. Yeah, that's all you got to do. It's cool.
Yeah, I want to do more bike packing and more adventure stuff.
That would be awesome.
You know, stuff that man, that stuff's been really cool. Like, we did those 6 days through, we rode the HVIII Trail through Utah. So it was like 220 miles over 5 days.
Oh, wow.
And
what were you riding on?
I rode that on my old mountain bike. So it's essentially like that one. Yep. But it's mostly fire road, the whole thing. But beautiful.
Yeah.
But we camp every night. And
Utah is one of the most beautiful states.
Dude, there's a pretty good chance I end up there.
It's a beautiful place. I just drove from San Diego to St. Louis, and I'm driving through eastern Utah, and I'm like, how are more people not here?
Right.
You know, like, this place should be
super cool.
packed.
Yep.
Yeah, sorry.
That whole side of our country, man. I think between there, like, I like Coeur d'Alene, Idaho is super sick
gosh.
and affordable.
I've never been there, but
It's so rad.
I have a buddy who has a place there, and he's just all he talks about is how amazing it is.
Yeah, it's lovely. They also only get like 40 inches of snow, and you're 5 hours from Banff National Park in Canada. So, like, all right. And I have a good airport in Spokane, 45 minutes from me. Like, this is great. What's not to love?
That's not a bad spot.
Yeah, and it's not California expensive. It's worse than here, but it isn't.
You're in St. Louis, man.
Yeah, that's great.
This is like the cheapest place to live.
I lived in Baton Rouge prior to this. So
right.
My whole life experience is like, you pay what?
Yeah, what? When you told me what you paid for this place,
of course.
I was actually kind of shocked. I thought that seemed high, but even the Missouri market.
Well, so the people who bought it when it was burned out,
they
paid $50 for it.
Right. but then they put some work into it. It's really
Put
nice.
a lot of work.
Really nice.
Yeah, it's turned out good. It'll be a good investment property either way. Just where we're located, one street off of Manchester, with that growing and blowing up, a ton of cash is still getting dumped into that road.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, back to the sporting, man. So I'm doing boxing.
Okay.
So.
Like, how serious are you pursuing boxing?
That's just a terrible question. Like,
oh no.
I want to get in a fight.
Okay.
Not a fight, not a street fight.
No,
I
of course.
want to box. Is what I mean. I just love it. I don't know what it is. I've always wanted to learn how to do boxing, and so now, like, I'm doing it, and I love it. But I haven't gotten hit in the face yet, and so that's the thing.
That's a different turning point, right?
That's going to be the deciding factor. And so I want to do it. I want to spar.
I would imagine, as someone who's seen combat, that you're probably going to handle a punch to the face okay.
Yeah.
It won't be too big of a shock of like, Jesus Christ, I don't want any part of this.
Yeah, and wrestling, there's headbutts that happen and things, and it's physical, but I love combat sports in general. Yeah. I really wish I could get into jiu-jitsu. I'm just so with the knee.
You feel the same way I do about it. So I did it for like 6 months prior to one of my surgeries, and I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I'd like to pursue it again, but I think the only way it's going to be smart is, like, I've got to do private.
Right.
I need to find a good black belt in town.
Yeah, who will
actually
pay, teach you and not beat you up.
Yeah, like, ideally I would train with like my buddy Kyle Kingsbury, who's down in Austin. The former UFC guy, is a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and like, there's never a point where I'm a threat.
Right.
Of any sort.
And he's not going to hurt you.
No. He can let me learn.
That's actually what the boxing gym I go to, they're like, if we spar, we're going to have you spar with someone really good, because you're not just going to tee off on each other, and he's not going to just knock you out.
Well, that was like one of my buddies, a guy out west, Jason Ellis, runs a radio show and does some boxing and MMA stuff, and so he was going to train one day, and I was gone to meet him to go catch the conditioning portion of it, and then he was going to spar. Mm-hmm. He's like, "You box?" And I'm like, "No, I don't." He's like, "Well, never mind then." And I'm like, "No," and I was like, he's like, "You're too big."
He might knock somebody out.
Well, he just basically was saying, like, was wondering if I was interested in sparring with him.
Right.
And he's boxed a lot. Mm-hmm. So like, he can handle the throttle control.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You're too big that if you get dumb,
right,
I have to hurt you."
Yeah.
And I'm like, I understand. I prefer that to not go that way.
I don't think you want to do that.
Right.
And those boxers, man, like, I don't think they get enough. Well, that's not true. They get credit, but
they get paid, sure as shit.
Man, they do get paid.
I don't understand where all that money comes from. No one's watching boxing.
Not anymore. Right. I know.
Yet there's still $100 million fucking paychecks.
Dude, I think
do they just have a press in the back?
I think it's just something about fighting, right? That people like to watch, or
it's simple black and white, dude. You know who wins and loses.
Exactly, right there, man.
This is simple.
Yeah. And so it's interesting, but I just lost my train of thought.
Well, so like with everything going down right now, I mean, there's celebrity boxing, so HVIII and Eddie Hall.
I know. I saw that. Like,
have
what?
This thing going.
That's gonna be a mess.
I'm gonna go.
Oh man,
it's gonna be in Vegas next year. We're gonna fucking go. I have to go see this thing.
Yeah, that will be really fun to watch.
I want to see Halfy. I've known HVIII a long time. I'll root for him.
Yeah.
Good dude. He's always been awesome, and so I think 3-minute rounds are a mistake.
I don't know if they'll make it.
Of course not. I don't care what level of conditioning they try to get into.
Right.
Like, Halfy's down a lot of weight, but he's still 370 pounds.
Yeah.
He's down 80 pounds.
Can you imagine?
No.
Getting hit by that hand? No matter, I don't care how big you are.
No, dude.
Like, that's why people were so intrigued with the heavyweight champions, right, in the 90s and early 2000s, right, when you had Lennox Lewis, Holyfield, Tyson, all these guys. You had these monstrous men going in and just teeing off on each other. I mean, it's sad that the UFC, the heavyweight, really isn't the best division, because there's so many great divisions throughout. Yep. But, man, like,
your 205 dudes are terrifying.
Yes. When they start hitting each other, when they become street fights in the cage at UFC, you're just like, someone's going to die.
Or like a Francis Ngannou or someone like that.
Gosh.
Just like or like Yolo Romero.
Yeah.
Stay as far away from that monster as you possibly can. It's like, oh, this is why concealed carry exists. Fuck having an altercation with that guy. Exactly. I'm going to apologize as long as I can.
Yeah. Oh, man, but it's so much fun to watch.
You're right. And with, like half a year. Like, so, I mean, if you got offered a year now to train for boxing for a celebrity fight, give her a go.
I'd do it. I'd do it right now. I would.
Who's the other CrossFit equivalent that they sign up for you?
I don't know. It
has to be Dan Bailey. It has to be Dan.
Yeah, he's a little bit. He's not he's about my size. He's maybe a little bit. I think he's 10 or 15 pounds heavier than me.
Let's make it happen. We can do it here in the basement. We'll live stream it out.
I'm in, man. I'm in. I told Castro. I said, Castro. I go because I've seen back in the day he posted about he was learning boxing.
Sure.
And I was like, hey. I'm learning boxing. I'm like, let's spar. He's like, I'm like, you got the reach, but if I get inside, I'm gonna knock you out. Oh man,
dude, I saw something from Conor McGregor the other day talking about Floyd and that fight and everything, and he's like, I'm still mad I never swung a kick up there just to remind him.
Oh my gosh, but that he wouldn't have got his money.
Oh, it would have been fucked.
Yeah,
right?
He wouldn't have got his money.
That was before he had $1 billion whiskey company.
Right, exactly.
Probably doesn't need it.
Probably not too big of a deal.
He's doing just fine. He doesn't need to fight anymore.
He'll be all right. But he's gonna fight Pacquiao.
Yeah, why not? Why the fuck not?
Like Pacquiao. Pacquiao was my.
That could be ugly because Pacquiao's an aggressive fighter.
He is. He's quick.
Where
Floyd Mayweather is a defensive
dude, right?
Right.
And so that was something I thought about, man, is like, it's easy to look at Floyd and be like, that's a fucking boring fight, especially like him and Manny were a boring fight.
Well, all his fights were boring.
Do you know how much skill it takes to not get hit by Manny Pacquiao?
It's the hardest thing to do. Hardest thing to do right
to get in the ring with Manny Pacquiao and not get punched?
Right.
It's a killer.
That dude throws that's what all of his opponents would say is I never saw a punch. Like they were he's so fast.
I would say something to him and he would hit me 30 times before I realized what was happening. It'd be that like Chris like in Russia. I'd be like, fuck just happened? Which one of you fucking guys kicked me?
Which one of you guys kicked me?
Dude, it would very much be that. Good on Conor.
Yeah,
he's making it.
He's smart, man. He's a smart guy.
I just wish he would have buzzed the tower. Just swing a kick up there, just pass it in front of his face, and kind of give him a wink and like, hey man,
hey,
just remember.
All right.
Fuck.
Yeah.
But speaking of that, Tyson and Roy Jones Jr.
Oh my gosh, I'm so fucking excited,
dude. Back to like what you were saying, like these athletes that keep doing and not letting it go.
And I'm still paying to watch it.
Dude, you can't look at Tyson's recent training videos and think that this is an inept 54-year-old who's not capable of handling himself. He's terrifying.
I am so excited, and I hope. And Roy Jones Jr. is
terrifying.
Is one of the greatest boxers of all time. I was actually shocked that that's who Jones can't be that old.
They're both 50.
Oh, he is in his 50s?
Yeah, they're both in their 50s. Now, I thought they fought different weight classes. But Tyson's a small heavyweight.
Yeah, Jones came up at the end of his career because I thought the same thing.
Okay.
Because I was like, I thought Jones was more
fighting?
of I thought he was like a welterweight
or
whatever.
I guess he's light heavy, huh?
Yeah, he was.
Okay.
Yeah, so he came up at the end of his career and he fought.
Maybe he's taller than I thought he is.
Yeah, I bet Tyson's only 5'11"?
Yeah, he's right around 6 foot.
Yeah. I don't know what Jones is. I bet he's up there.
I mean, the thing is, it's like Lennox Lewis and those guys are monsters.
Yeah.
They're all 6'6", 6'7".
And it's a great stylistic matchup because Tyson is an aggressor, right? He's going to come at him, and Jones is a defensive fighter.
Yep.
He's a counterpuncher. And so, man, it's going to be fun.
And neither one of them want to walk out with that that L.
I don't care what anybody says.
Two of the best dudes on earth
at a thing
still want to be considered the best dude on earth.
They want to still establish dominance, right? It doesn't matter.
Dude, Ali is somewhere in another realm saying, fuck these guys. Just give me a shot.
Give me a shot. I'll take this. Dude, man, I know.
And,
I'm
man,
about that.
Still, I love Ali stuff and, like, what an amazing fighter plus promoter. But as far as terrifying... Tyson?
Terrifying.
Yikes.
He was the scariest man on the planet for a long time.
For a long time. that
I loved watching Tyson fight.
well, you can still just watching like a Tyson highlight video. It's like Jesus Christ, guys.
Yeah. The way and how quick and fast he was.
That they're betting whether or not the national anthem takes longer than the fight.
Oh gosh, yeah. Those fights, yeah, they would always like first round knockouts.
Terrifying.
Yeah, terrifying.
Yeah.
I remember watching when he bit Holyfield's ear.
I remember watching it too. I was in an Outback, like a Outback Steakhouse.
I was in an Applebee's. I was in an Applebee's.
We're just middle class fancying it right up.
Right? Exactly. Probably here in St. Charles.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, fucking what an animal.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. When that was announced, I was like, I didn't believe it at first. I was like, this
seems stupid.
Yeah, this isn't right. And then he starts putting out these training videos, and he's actually training for it.
Have you listened to his Rogan interviews?
The recent one?
Did you hear the previous one that was done? It was done like in 2019, like early in 2019. Mm-hmm. It's like the first time he had gone on the show.
Okay.
And he's deep into the weed business, and he's not interested in fighting. And he keeps mentioning, he's like, yeah, and like, because Joe's like, man, do you ever think about like coaching or doing clinics or boxing to stay in shape? And he's like, I can't turn that ego back on.
Right.
Like, it's not cool.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not all right once that fire's going.
Right.
And the second time he's on, that fire's lit.
Oh man, it was that I listened to it on the drive out.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm excited. Have you ever listened to his hot boxing?
I haven't. I want to. So he's got a co-host. Like, my original thought was like, him as a host by himself isn't great, but there's another guy helping steer the ship.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And there's the one I listened to the Evander Holyfield one just because I was really interested to see how.
Fuck, they had him on.
Yeah.
Evander's a very interesting guy. He was a good Rogan interview.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't listen to this Rogan one, but the one with Sugar Ray Leonard.
Yep.
Was by far like there's a point in there and he talks about it's like a 3-minute where Tyson goes deep and it got me like going like emotionally and oh gosh, it was awesome.
Man, there's a handful of times you'll catch something from a guy like that and like, dude, we gotta have those people. Those, like, Tyson's such an outlier of outliers.
Yeah.
That we just don't have many of those guys. Like, he was never going to conform. He was never going to fit in and have a fucking real job.
Nope.
Or any of these type of things. And then to think that, like, found Customato, or Customato summoned him.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
But, like, the luck of being there at the right time in history to meet that guy, to...
Yeah.
It's one thing to find someone with talent. It's another thing to find someone who wants to work hard.
Right.
And then you line it up at the right time, and you get to see that in a few athletes like LeBron James. Like, holy fuck, he's got it. Yeah. He's got a thing that just... Like, you show up out of high school and you're competitive in the NBA. Right. Like, how boring was high school basketball? Just playing Techno Bowl football with Bo Jackson? Like, just do whatever you want.
That is the perfect analogy.
Fucking Bo Jackson's another.
Yeah. Bo Jackson, Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods.
And,
all those guys.
Talk about the, end of career in sports and bitterness or whatever that comes from it. And, like, look, if Bo Jackson's not mad and he's okay,
yeah,
I probably should be able to sort my shit out.
Right. That dude should be a Hall of Famer in 2 sports, and he is not a Hall of Famer in either of them.
No. What an incredible...
Jackson, he was my favorite.
Everyone's.
Yeah, everyone's. No, just mine.
I picked him first.
I said
he was the first draft team.
He's on my wall. He's on my wall in my garage.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, and God, guys like that, dude.
Yeah,
he's just got people that have it.
There was a cool story. And this is just a random story from. So the first time I went to Nike, and this is probably how they probably do this to a lot of athletes.
Yeah, I'm sure.
They know the
game.
Yeah, exactly. But they literally made Bridges nose shirts. And they brought him. It was in the Bo Jackson, and I was like, because this was the first time they were getting into like all of fitness since like the Bo Jackson time, right? Because that Bo Jackson shoe was like a fitness shoe because Bo knows all,
right?
they made these shirts Bridges knows, and like I was
What?
like, yeah, where do I sign?
It's fine.
where do I sign? I love it. Like
Trying to play it cool.
Like my kids still have this. Like they even make kid shirts for my
Oh,
kids
man.
and stuff. And I was like, I was like, I don't even know what to say right now.
Yeah.
And then you're just like hooked.
You think about what a monster something like Nike is.
Yeah.
Yo. So, did you ever work with Reebok, or was
I was
it?
with Reebok for just 3 years. I did a 3. Yeah, the first because Nike wasn't even like in the picture.
Yeah,
at that
until the
time.
Metcon came out, and then they
Yeah.
were still not even allowed to be at the games.
So no, we were like that. Like the Nike guys signed me. I signed with Nike before there was a Metcon.
Yo.
They handed me a shoe, and they were like, "What would you change about this?" And like that, I actually
Blue.
I'd make it red.
Everyone knows that's faster.
Good to go, right? All right. What else do we need? But like I got to be part of the the first shoe. I had the first Metcon worn in competition. They actually
nice.
I had to give it back to them, and they put it in their vault or whatever it's called.
That's pretty sick.
So yeah, I had some really cool moments with that, and I'm not trying to brag. It was just that we talked about.
No,
it.
but it's unique
Yeah.
experiences.
Yeah, it was really cool. I got to go down into their lab where they put the little
all the mocap?
little bulbs all over you, and we went through movements with like 5 different shoes on and stuff, and like pressure plates on the ground and everything. It was got to chat with Phil Knight. Like it was really crazy. It was a crazy
Fucking Phil Knight.
Yeah. Dude, I got a bit like before one of my regionals, like he literally sent me a video saying like, "Here we go, Josh, just do it." I was like, "What?" I was like, "This isn't real life."
It's weird that you said just do it, and it's not cheesy because that's your thing.
Right?
Fuck.
I know, man.
Dude, how about nailing branding so good that we just don't have to ever change it?
Ever.
We'll just use the swoosh. We don't have to update it.
No.
It looks like this.
Yeah.
It's fine forever. All right.
It was crazy. Yeah, that was a crazy experience. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it's like Coca-Cola. It's like they're never gonna try not red.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, monsters at that level, man. Like,
Yeah.
fuck. And like, they're so big, they're not concerned about Under Armour, who's another gigantic thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can't even imagine headaches that come from.
I always try to wrap my head around, now that we're in the business world as well. I try to wrap my head around a business like that.
Amazon?
Or trying to like understand even a little bit of what goes into that is mind blowing.
So many moving
I'm like,
pieces.
where are the barbells and pull-up bars at?
Right. and what it is that again, it's looking at it from that perspective and realizing why they're so far ahead. So I went on a tour at Specialized pretty recently.
Okay.
And it was super, super cool. And of course, it's like, it's because right now they're finishing up everything for 2022.
Right. Yeah.
And so, man, I know for me with apparel, and like right now I've got it paced where I know everything we're releasing until the end of January. Mm-hmm. We have most of it done, waiting to go.
Yeah.
And so, like, I'm trying to keep that level of a quarter out.
Right.
The problem that comes with that is by the time we drop it, I'm so fucking tired of looking at it that I don't care about it anymore because I thought about it 8 months ago.
Yeah.
And so imagine being 2 years of looking at a shoe and releasing, like, you don't know if it's going to do well anymore. You have no fucking thoughts on it of like, I don't know if it's good anymore at all.
Yeah. Well, then because you're also, not only are you done with that shoe, you're working on the next 2 shoes.
Yeah, by the time you've seen this and think we're innovative, like, you don't know what's coming.
Dude, I mean, that was with Nike, was when you were looking at shoes, you'd be looking at, they'd be like, they'd always have an actual shoe for next year's shoe to hand you, like a prototype.
Yeah.
And then they were like, and now, they'd pull out this one shoe and they'd be like, this is 2 years out. This is a very basic, like, what? And they'd always ask, like,
what do you think?
What do you want?
Yeah.
And I always said rocket boots. Always, every time. I want rocket boots.
Yeah.
I want them to go in the air and in the water.
Dude, I think about with that push, like stuff we're seeing from Elon Musk.
Oh,
like
man.
the Neuralink thing.
Hyperlink? Or,
Well, the Hyperloop is the transportation.
Yeah.
Neuralink is the implant he's talking about for the brain.
Right.
Which is, I think it's very easy to get like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
But, well, and the way he's explained it is, like, it's this.
Yeah.
That's all the Neuralink is. It is this in a more efficient manner. It's right now our interface is very slow with the information that we have. So imagine if there was a way just to pour the information in. And so, like, people were asking, like, do you think you'll be able to record memories? And he's like, yeah. Which we already do.
Right.
I have a ton of memories on my phone.
Yeah.
There's video and photos of it.
Yeah.
It'll just now be from this perspective.
Wow.
Like, your eye gives an electrical impulse to your brain. They're going to have wires, and those wires, interpret electrical input to tell a machine to do a thing.
Man.
And so,
I don't know how I feel about that.
well, it's coming.
Right.
I mean, all it is a better phone.
Yeah.
It's now a phone that doesn't take up one of your hands. You know, the weirdness will be that we'll be able to text, but it'll just be talking instead. Like, we can communicate telepathically.
Wow.
Now I'm curious how the interface of that works. Like, do I just sense the things you're telling me? Do I get an audible, or does like a text pop up in my field of view?
Right.
But when that happens, if that becomes a thing, we will see a drastic switch of the haves and have-nots for people that can afford that technology and people who can't.
Yeah.
And that will be a big split, because people who get it will stop communicating verbally.
Man,
because why would you?
That's crazy. I don't know how I feel about that.
It'll be archaic.
I don't think I like that.
Yeah, look, I don't think we're going to be great at it in the time span that I'm alive, but
yeah. Who knows?
Who knows?
I never would have thought you could do the things you could do on a phone right now.
Yo.
And like from 10 years or 15 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, the technology increases exponentially, and that's another one of those Elon things. Like, Elon is scared of AI.
Yeah, I remember reading or watching him on Rogan.
I feel like we should listen.
Yeah, right.
Like, yeah. What I prefer is not listening to the old crusty white dudes in Congress who Elon tried to talk to about the fear of AI.
Yeah.
And they're like, we don't see a problem. Like, of course you don't.
Yeah.
That's why he's here.
Right.
He's here to explain the fucking problem. Is that once this thing can learn, it learns at a speed that we don't. Like, it doesn't make, like, we can't even talk about it.
Right. It's like thinking about space for me, where I can't even contemplate to think I know what infinity is.
Right.
You know, like, it just keeps going.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
No, there's an end.
There's obviously an end. But it's not. You know, like, that's what's, man, yeah.
Look, and then not only take that, but then the one that compounds it for me is time.
Right.
You know, and then how is time interpreted based on gravity? And so if you've got different gravitational pulls, time passes differently. And so, like, time's not consistent across the big scale.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
The whole thing is just,
There's, I reel myself back in with the idea of, for the tiny amount of time that I'm allowed to be alive, and the even smaller amount of the universe that I get to explore,
right?
There's still so much cool shit.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, like Iceland's rad. Like, like there's a bunch of really like great food and places and views in Yosemite National Park or the Grand Canyon or Glacier National Park or Banff or fucking. There's amazing things on our planet that can't even begin to scratch the surface of what the most amazing things must be.
Yeah. It's insane. It really is. It gives me like almost like anxiety to think about. You know, because you
I've used it to turn it the other way. Like it gives me relief because it makes me go, oh, none of this matters.
Yeah, it really
That's great. So just do what you want.
Right.
Just have a good time. Be nice to people. Like, at the end of the day, like,
it's true though.
We're gonna get hit by a fucking meteor or something. It doesn't make any difference.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, we had one like a month ago.
Past the closest it's ever had.
1,800 miles.
That seems pretty close.
That's way between us and the moon.
Yeah.
The fucking moon is still like a couple. It's not 1,000,000 miles out, but the moon's far. It's a couple 100,000 miles.
Okay.
And so, I mean, the idea that something the size of my truck passed between us and there, and we didn't know it was coming.
Right.
I mean, yeah, a couple of years ago, right? Like, this is one of those things we haven't had happen. When there was one that blew up in Russia 7 or 8 years ago now, I can't remember what city, but it blew up very high up in the atmosphere, but the explosion, power-wise, was the equivalent of 50 atomic bombs.
Really?
And so, like, all the way up in the mesosphere, it still put like 3,000 people in the hospital because of shattered windows and everything and stuff that broke.
Wow.
And so, and that thing was like 100 feet in diameter. An asteroid. Small.
Yeah.
30 fucking yards.
Yeah.
Like, if that comes in steeper, it hits ground in LA, we instantly have 10 million dead people.
Oh, instantly.
Gone. And, like go to Crater National Park out in there.
Is 10 million?
No, so that's about what would die if something that size hit one spot.
Gotcha.
You know, Malibu would probably be okay. Thank God.
They probably have a bubble.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Thank God for that. But yeah, man, like, we're just flying rock through the universe around other flying rocks. Luckily, it's big as shit.
It's crazy.
There's not even anything close to us.
Right.
The moon.
Yeah.
And then it's Mars, which is 6 fucking months traveling at 18,000 miles an hour to get there.
It only takes, no, I thought it took
6 months.
I thought it took longer than that.
I confirmed this last night. Bonnie's
Okay.
brother-in-law works with Boeing and NASA, so
Okay.
I thought it was 9.
I thought it was like 2 years.
No, we're getting better.
Wow. That's crazy.
The real problem with that is the first people we send,
Right.
they're not coming back.
They ain't coming back.
No.
So you better get that one-way ticket.
You're a Martian.
Right.
You now have a different passport. You live there.
Yeah.
Well, dude, let's take this in. We're right at 2 hours, so.
Okay, brother. Yeah. We got deep. We got deep into some crazy shit. I love it.
Yeah. We didn't quite get into the Pentagon releasing information that they have a spaceship. They fucking said that this year. They released a fucking document saying that they have a craft of otherworld origin. And that's all the information that came with it. I'm like, can we dive into that?
That's it? That's all you're going to give? Okay, thanks. All right.
Oh, cool. Trump at least got Big Ten football back on the map.
We got Big Ten football, boys. You're welcome.
Oh, man. All right, so where can people find all your things, and what's your podcast?
Podcast is Checkin In, Josh Bridges podcast.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Bridges J3, Instagram. Josh-Bridges.com, programming, and Good Dudes Coffee.
Yeah, since we're sharing it.
Yeah, you share. Yeah, let's hear yours because this is coming on yours.
Yeah, I hate Matt Vincent on Instagram. Hate Brand Goods, Umso Podcast, and I have Habit Coffee.
I love it. Competing brands.
I know it. We'll never be friends. Because only a couple people drink coffee, apparently.
Right. Not that many people.
Second most traded fucking thing on earth.
I thought didn't it pass oil?
Oh, it may now.
I thought it did.
It's either that or tea. Tea may still be better than coffee.
I think, yeah, you might be right.
Yeah. Matcha tea is a good way to go as far as the business side of things. I'm still trying to work on getting
tea.
Matcha, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where everything is.
I love it, man. I always love having these conversations.
It was fun, man.
It's good times, brother.
Yeah. Brother, I appreciate it, and I will talk to you later.